Hello, everybody. This is Crypto Rookies once again, and I think we're on session 6 this time of our series on tokenomics and how to preserve wealth and basically build wealth in crypto. Today, we'll talk a bit more about something slightly out of topic, but it's critical to understand right now. But it's about the capital rotation that typically happen at like in a bull run of crypto. And then we welcome Jane once again to discuss this topic with.
Yeah, hi Patrick, and yeah, really excited to be back and discuss the really interesting topic, especially for the upcoming year. And I think that would be really important to know and to be aware of all the news that are going in the market.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing, I wanted to discuss this topic first because the strategy that I have, where it's relatively market neutral, it's really good in a market that is sideways. But because we know we're about to enter a bull run, and it may already have started, to be honest, we would be leaving a lot of money on the table if we were to do it that is market neutral. So right now I'm thinking I should maybe revise my investment strategy because I don't know if you've heard that expression, but everybody is a genius in a bull market.
No, actually, never heard.
Yeah. I think it's whatever you buy tends to go up. So some stuff go up much faster than others, but like the real trick is to make sure that you exit and take profit before it starts to collapse. So the point of this is that having a market neutral strategy is not necessarily the best way when the market, like every day, at some point when it starts to really accelerate, we're going to have days that we make 20% just by holding on token that we buy a day earlier. So that's why I think for the next foreseeable future with the bull run coming, I think we should put on the side burner the market neutral strategy that do 10% per month because we'll be able to make way more than that, just building a diversified portfolio. And I think that's why the capital rotation is important to understand at this moment.
I do think that's I think, really important moment to know when you can sell off or when you can reinvest. I think this is something like either you have intuition for that or you have a really professional analyst that can predict that this is a moment to sell.
The thing is the crypto market every 4 years go into the up and down cycle. So we know toward sometime in 2025, we should probably expect a collapse again. So like it will, when things really accelerate and you see every token, regardless of how bad they are, get 1,000% growth in a month, and then all of the media talk about how good the market is, it will be the right time to start cashing out and moving your capital to a different industry at that point. And saying there might be some tweak here and there but like ETF, for example, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and so on, if institution keep buying, there might be a bit of tweak on the cycle, but regardless, nobody go broke by taking profits. So I think it will be fine to.
Yeah, I think, but don't you think the market itself, the cycle will change as well if the like Bitcoin or Ethereum in the future they will be accepted by SEC?
Yeah.
Because then it will be a completely different story, no?
But I think probably those big one will accelerate really rapidly for a while, and at some point it will start to plateau a bit. And I think at some point I would expect there will be another collapse of the crypto industry, but maybe the big ones may not collapse as much. They might collapse maybe 30% instead of 60 or more. Yeah. If anyone is interested, we'll put this link in the description of the video. But if you go to my Medium blog post, so I put this one recently about capital rotation. And to explain what this means is that in the crypto industry, in a kind of a bear market, which is what we were for the last year and about a year and a half almost, it goes like people have a lot of stablecoin, like more than 50% of their capital is in stablecoin. Then at some point, once the start of bull market start to occur, then a lot of that money flow into Bitcoin, typically speaking. And this has happened for multiple cycle of 4 years, like I said. So 2017, this happened. 2021, this happened. And that's why 2025 is likely to be the end of the bull market of crypto. But I think maybe this time around, Bitcoin and Ethereum may not collapse as much as previously. But regardless, I think it will be anyway time to cash out some money. And maybe you can buy real estate. There's all kinds of things that you should consider doing. Like typically speaking, commodities, precious metals, any kind of things that go into manufacturing. Like if you build electronics, you need cobalt, you need all kinds of things that are super rare, the rare earth elements. All of those things I think will be maybe a good type of investment at that point when everything collapses. But regardless, let's finish this capital rotation. So the thing, money move into stablecoin, into Bitcoin. Then at some point, Bitcoin the gain get important enough that people start to cash their profit here, and then they move the profit into Ethereum because now they can start gaining more returns. Because the thing, Bitcoin has a market cap that is 3 times currently the size of Ethereum. So if you cash in some portion of gains there, you don't need as much money anymore to move the price of Bitcoin just as fast because it's a smaller in market cap. So it takes less capital to move the price up by a certain percentage. And then the same thing happened moving from Ethereum into the mid cap. So those are like tokens that have maybe $1 billion of market cap or something along those lines. A lot of the gains there, again, the same thing is that Ethereum currently has probably about $300 billion of market cap. So if you start investing in projects that have $1 billion of market cap or 10 billion, those move up a lot faster with a certain amount of money. So this is why you can start to spread and diversify a lot more. And then the gain that you generate here, then the same thing, you move them into lower cap things that, project that have a $50 million market cap, maybe $100 million. So those move a lot faster because it's like at this point in time, Bitcoin will not make a 10,000% return. It's not going to happen anymore. But those projects that have a market cap of $10 million, I've seen some that move into $1 billion market cap within a year, sometime within a month. So that is massive scalability. And the thing, the deeper you go, that's something that the quality of the investor go down quite a lot. So a lot of the people who play in those low cap things are, we call them degens investors, like degenerates, because those are the people who want to put $1,000 today and then get to buy a Lamborghini next week. So they have really short attention span. Their behavior is really more close to gambling and all that stuff. So they are not really always sophisticated. Although there are people who cash in their gains who are sophisticated investors that actually take advantage of those behaviors in the market to make quite a lot of money. But I think that's the typical kind of rotation that happen. And the smart investors, like the opposite of dumb money, they know when to time their exit from those low cap to put back into stablecoin because they know a crash is imminent. And in some case, they are the one who trigger this to happen because they have such large amount of capital. So
that's like kind of a cycle, right? So those degens investors, they usually every bull run they do the same, and that's where you have like really huge increase and then it goes down. It's because of them as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think market makers, whales that have massive amount of money, they just enjoy doing the pump and dump because when they collapse the market like this, they can lower.
They can buy cheap.
Yeah, exactly. All of their gains that they've accumulated throughout that year or year and a half, they can put back at Bitcoin at a much lower price and keep redoing the cycle over and over. It's not just the crypto industry, it's every industry goes through those cycle of pump and dump manipulated by people with large amount of capital.
But then the market will change, right? Once the big institutional investors will come, because it will be, they're gonna hold most of the like Bitcoin, Ethereum.
Yeah, so they may not follow the 4-year cycles anymore, but we've seen pump and dump cycle on the stock market and everywhere else where those institutions are active. BlackRock and others, it's very likely that they are causing those cycle from time to time, right? Because they benefit from that. So there's no reason to think it's not going to keep happening. I think the collapse may not be as much anymore because some country, even if Bitcoin is super volatile, some country, the government-backed currency is even worse. So there's a reason for them not to exit Bitcoin or other currencies like this. The other thing is that the actual time scale of those cycle happening, it can be quite quick and it can happen multiple times in a bull market. So you could do a full cycle maybe within a month, then go back to that rotation again for another cycle and making it even bigger. But usually when you do that, you don't fully collapse like 90% your low cap because that will crush the market so much and the users that they will abandon and capitulate and not come back. So you don't want to crush too much in a small cycle of a month or 2 months. But they still happen. So there's capital rotation that happen periodically. So a few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, we saw Bitcoin dominance spiking, going up quite a lot. And right now the dominance is starting to go down. Ethereum hasn't moved yet that much. It triggered a little bit the other day, but it has yet to experience a big gain like Bitcoin did. So people are expecting this to happen very imminently, unless there's a massive collapse, not massive, but massive enough that the entire market could go down for a bit. But the thing in the last week, we've seen a lot of those altcoin pumping, some of them growing at 100% in a single day. I think at that point, you want to diversify because you don't always know which one will work out, will pump like this. But it happened quite often. So right now, I think we're gonna go back. Maybe it's Ethereum because Solana, maybe that's why Ethereum hasn't gained that much. Maybe a lot of it is absorbed by Solana to a certain extent because they are scaling faster. I think Solana grew 300% in the last month and a month and a half, something like that. So, and I think Ethereum didn't grow as much at all. So over time, there might be more than just Ethereum here too. And I've speculated a long time ago that it's possible that Ethereum will move to be on equal footing as Bitcoin at some point. I don't know if it will happen or not anymore, but I think there will be Bitcoin dominance at some point during the full-blown bull market. The dominance of Bitcoin will go down significantly, and that will be a large flow of money that go into everything. So the thing, if you go to here,
So you would say, so now it's a moment for people like to buy Bitcoin as well. Because I've seen lately, I think it was in December, that MicroStrategy, they have accumulated their like accumulation of Bitcoin was like in total of 158,000 of Bitcoins, which is like a huge amount.
Yeah.
So it seems like a right moment.
People right now, the smart money that really understand crypto are playing a little bit more on the alt at the moment because some gains are 100% in a single day. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad time to accumulate more Bitcoin right now because the ETF hasn't been approved yet. So the institutional money hasn't moved that much just yet. And I think it's expected to happen. And the thing, if you
Because
don't...
I've seen, yeah.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, because I've seen that see now they're getting a bit more reliable because before they were like really aggressive with the like XRP grayscale, like so all the cases were like quite tough, but it seems
Yeah.
like for nowadays they're getting a bit more softer than they were before because I think they realized that the way how they've been aggressive before as an aggressive regulator, it doesn't work anymore because all the projects they're really well based and structured that they can really go to court and win it.
Yeah, definitely. The thing right now, I think it's a safer bet to put money in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana is going down a little bit as of yesterday, but I think it's all of those three, I think is not a bad bet for the next year and a half. It depends on your trading or investment horizon. But the thing, this is TradingView, and in the description of the video, there's a link with my referral code to get access to that. All right, so the thing, so you see the graph here, the Bitcoin dominance was at like 97%. That was back in February of 2017. And then this was the acceleration of the bull market for the 2017 period. And that means that the Bitcoin dominance in terms of proportion of the entire crypto market went down significantly because capital rotation moved out. People were cashing in profit from Bitcoin to move them into Ethereum and some other projects. And then I think it went back down to basically here. And most likely at that point, there was quite a lot of large chunk maybe in USDT or like stablecoin. But yeah, so those fluctuations happen. And then in 2020, like you see that the dominance went back again to 73%, and here it was at 70%. And then the capital rotation happened. And at the beginning of 2021, things started to take profit from Bitcoin to move into altcoins. And I think that at some point in 2021, there was a massive crash again. So that's probably around, I guess, there. Yeah, that was a crypto crash. So typically speaking, it's people cashing out their gains from all of the crypto to move into USDT because USDT is still part of the dominance chart basically. And it's so right now, we're coin dominance. It's not as large as it used to be, but it's possible that it could spike to about 60%, and then it will really kick in people taking profit to move into Ethereum and other projects, and then it will shrink down quite a lot at that point to maybe 30, 40%.
Because I was reading the news that the bull run it might happen in 2025, but some of the people that they're telling if the like Bitcoin or Ethereum will be approved by SES, so it will change the market. So the bull run will happen like in 2024, which will be earlier than we expect.
But the bull run was expected based on those cycles was expected to start around the mid 2024 regardless, because the bull run lasts quite a long time, like a year and a half usually. And maybe the first 6 months is some sort of growth that is quite decent. And at some point that when things go crazy and it scale like massively, and then it crash after that. And I think you have to look at the media, and if people get rich overnight, that's a good kind of like aspect to consider that maybe you need to start cashing in profit because it's not going to last forever like this. Now, this is what normally we expect. Now, because institutional investors, like the big ones that have billions and trillions of dollars to invest, they are getting those ETF approved by the SEC. So Bitcoin, Ethereum, and I would guess Solana will probably become one as well. Institutions they cannot invest in things that are not SEC regulated. And there's a handful of projects like that in crypto that are regulated correctly. And it's not just that. On your brokerage platform, if you're like an asset manager of one of those big funds, let's say BlackRock, you don't need to ask permission of your superiors to make some transaction as long as the asset is available on the brokerage platform. And typically speaking, you want all kind of the tools that you need with leverage, with all kinds of things to buy and make transaction on the assets freely without having too much supervision or asking permission. So you need all of that for the institutional to really play in that basket. So what that means is that I don't think they'll be able to be part of that capital rotation like the degen investors or the retail investors like in the past. Because previously it was not institution, they were not there at all. So it was just, investors like us that were involved, like whales, people were in crypto, and they have very different behavior because they didn't need all of those brokerage platform and the approval of superior management and all of that stuff.
But you would say, so those institutional investors, if they would have like the crypto projects that will be approved by SEC, so they would do the same cycle as what we have been seeing before. I think they will really take the risk because it seems like that they're more like into stable assets, to either to have a profit from 20-30% from stable things than otherwise taking the risks and then being on that moment that you can lose lots of money.
Yes, pension plan work like that, but it's not just pension plans. There's hedge funds and like BlackRock, they have so much money, and like the real estate collapse, they get to invest in all kinds of industry. And if you look at all industry, they all go to those pump and dump cycle. They don't lose like 90% like the crypto market, but the fluctuation are large enough that people quite suffer. There's economic collapse throughout the world on a periodic basis in all kinds of industry or at large. So there's no reason to think that this is not going to continue happening. But the thing that is interesting here is that if those institutions cannot invest in the mid cap and the low cap of the crypto world, that means that there will be a constant flow of money into, let's say, 3 projects that are fully regulated and available on brokerage platform to trade without trouble. So I think that compared to before, let's say that you would have, I don't know, $1 trillion move into the crypto industry in the past. Now you may have 5 trillion because of those institutions have such large amount of money. So it's possible that those 3 assets with the ETF perform much more than previously. So if you judge the risk versus return, maybe do you want to move that capital rotation to the mid cap alt market? Because those institutions will not be there. So if the return of an asset that has $10 billion is not growing faster than Bitcoin that has let's say $1 trillion of market cap, simply because you have such large amount of buying volume that has to remain concentrated on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the ETF ones, that means that the risk level, you would probably prefer to go with Bitcoin and the big ones if the return are about the same. And that may starve the mid-cap market from their gains to move into the low-cap market as well. And I think maybe the retail degen crypto investors will apply the same formula as before because they've seen it a few times in the past. But I think I have a feeling they may realize that the gains are just not as good as they used to be, that they may as well stick to Bitcoin and Ethereum and so on.
So you think there will be a second crash of the mid and low sector?
But saying, imagine that you move your money to a mid cap and then the gains are not better, and then you lose out on the gain of Bitcoin because now the institutions are piling in more. Maybe you sell your mid cap again and you go back to the large cap. And that's the thing, it's this kind of happen on the stock market as well. If you look at the stock market, currently what they call the Magnificent Seven, so it's like Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, and a few others. A lot of the money is moving out of the smaller stock that are not performing as well into the really big one because money is concentrating there and it outperform. In terms of risk versus reward, why go to some small stock market cap that you don't really know has higher risk? If the return are not there, you just stick to the big ones. And that's why right now there's a lot of concentration of capital into the really big stock like targets. And typically speaking, this is a precursor to a massive collapse because this is not going to last forever. It's dependent on having more liquidity coming in. If the government doesn't print money, they're at some point, they're going to run out of money to keep fueling the growth. And then everything collapses at that point. So
Like a bubble.
yeah, exactly. And then money moved to a different industry at that point. So in the last economic collapse during COVID, was it COVID? Yeah, I think it was, or the 2008 collapse of real estate. BlackRock, they bought a crap ton of real estate in the US because they knew.
I think that was 2008, no? The
Yeah,
huge collapse. It was 2008.
But I think they did the same again during COVID. The people who were unable to make their mortgage payment, they snatched quite a lot of real estate again because they knew it would come back and then they can dictate price. So I think that the smart money like BlackRock move their capital around, and I think they probably caused those collapse to happen in the first place. Yeah, and anyway, so that's why I think this time around, because such large capital is available from institution, the capital rotation may be disrupted this time around. It's something to consider and be aware of, to not try to follow the same pattern and then realize that you just gave a lot of money to institution and you're super rich. Because don't let them take it.
Is there's a way that they will find a different cycle that it won't be the same as it was before, but they might find another cycle that they might follow. Like the strategy itself will change a bit.
But that's the thing. I would argue that small cap of crypto, some of them that are managed by the smart people and people who have been in the industry for a long time and have the ability to gather a crowd, will be able to perform regardless. I just think it's, instead of 1,000 token making 1,000% in a month, it might be just 10 or 20 as opposed to 1,000 of them. But I think there will be those gems that are very low cap that will outperform like crazy just because money concentrate on them. Because the people who gamble still want to gamble. That's not going to disappear. And even right now, there's such projects that make crazy returns. So it will always happen, but I think it will not be as widespread as before. And so if you diversify your portfolio of 30 investments, but only 2 make that, does it compensate for the money you lost on the others? Maybe you need to invest in 100 of them to have that one winner. So that's why it may become too risky to necessarily do that unless you're someone who has connection in that industry, maybe. And I think the other thing that I'm thinking is that it may take 2 cycles for that one to happen, but there might be new cryptocurrency that are created from scratch that follow the SEC regulation entirely, because they would be low cap and potentially traded by institution. Those could actually skyrocket like we've never seen before. Because instead of someone putting $1,000 to buy a project, it could be someone dumping $10 million. So I think I think it may take 2 cycles, because first the regulation need to be really clear. I think we're at the stage that the equity crowdfunding rules exist and we can follow them, as if people in crypto don't do that, but it can be done. It's just a matter of whether or not you can get the institution to be able to trade you, because you would need to be traded on an exchange or a platform where those institutions are allowed to trade without having to ask permission. And that could be Coinbase. So that's why if Coinbase will probably not take the risk of listing tokens that are not SEC compliant anymore. So if you do manage to create a token right now that is SEC compliant, then and you get listed by Coinbase, I think you may have very good returns there. So I think we should keep an eye out for that. And the other is maybe just buying shares of Coinbase itself, because it's in a sense kind of an index of everything that is listed there. And if everything that is listed there is SEC compliant, then maybe it will scale and outperform other exchange that have stuff that will not be regulated correctly.
But do you think it's really like a new generation of the way that all the crypto projects now go for the SEC? So they're going to be SEC compliant.
Yeah.
So do you think that people will trust more? Because, I mean, they go through the huge process of securing themselves that this is a real project and that's not a fraud, right? So I think the market might change as well in that sense.
I totally agree. I'm convinced this is what will happen, because right now a lot of crypto projects exclude the US investors and to participate. But let's say if you can include the US and other country and do it safely, you can scale better. So you don't need to leave money on the table. Especially the thing, if there's only 20 projects that are fully regulated correctly, the deep pocket don't have much choice to put money there. So that's why I think it's a definite advantage to consider this at this point in time. Okay, so if we look again at TradingView, there's another thing that is called the crypto total market cap. So you have three of them, the Total 1, Total 2, and Total 3. And then there's this one that it's a total crypto market, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. So this is interesting to look at those things also, to see the patterns. And as you can see, at this point in time, that was in November 2021, that was the peak of the bull market, the last one. And like everything dropped after that.
Wow.
So those
That's
cycles all the time. And okay, so you see this one was at the end of 2017 and beginning of 2018. That was the previous bull cycle before this one. This one was really massive for the altcoins, but I think it happened periodically. So we can expect maybe something relatively similar, but this time around might be a bit more different because of the ETF and the large money that mean like pension plan probably will not care about moving their money out or in a 4-year cycle. They may take 10-year cycle because they are not short-term investors. All right. That's basically what I wanted to cover for today.
Yeah, I think will be really interesting to see how the market behaves once it will be approved by SEC, the Bitcoin or Ethereum. And I think that would be a moment when people maybe gonna start like investing money and be more like trustworthy projects that they know that is something reliable to invest in.
Exactly. I think we'll see the first stage of that will be VCs investing in crypto project, but in equity, so that there's no pre-sale on the token. This way you don't break the expectation of profit that makes it a security. So you would have tokens that are not securities at all, that are able to be listed on Coinbase and so on. And there will be tokens that are full security, but listed and regulated correctly, registered correctly, so that they are listed on Coinbase also. I think we'll see both. All right. Yeah. So we'll see you next week then.
Yeah, sure. Thanks a lot. It was a pleasure.